Premier League. Oh, now the call starts. And so it begins now. Match week 1 of the Premier League. Ben and I have been waiting for weeks, days since Premier League 2019-20 ended. We're in Premier League season 2021, first week of 38. I'm excited, Ben. How did you feel about the first week of Premier League football?
It came too quick for me. It's with COVID, there's a short amount of time. We just had the Champions League mini season. We just had some Nations League games, and now we're back in it. I think last season was crazy with the big break in the middle, and now it's back, and the anticipation has been much shorter. But then here we are, we're thrown back in it. But I think there's enough storyline, and I think there's enough transfers that really makes this Premiership season super interesting for me.
I'm not going to spoil maybe my loser of the week, but let's just say that the Nations League caught a rough go of it, given what role they were supposed to fill and what ended up actually happening. The Nations League, I think they got the toughest deal of the COVID calendar when it comes to soccer calendar. But anyway,
England's back to their terrible worst, that's for sure. But the less said about that, the better.
Yes. I mean, Jesus, it looks like Fabio Capello out there. Anyways, let's get into it. I think the story of the weekend, the match that would draw any neutral American football loving fan who thinks soccer is only for sissies in, Liverpool leads 4-3. What a match. I think coming out of that match, the headline is Leeds the neutral favorite this season? If you do not have a team in the Premier League, a dog in the fight, or maybe you just need a second team, is Leeds that team that you are going to watch no matter who they're playing?
You know, I think everyone was excited about Bielsa coming back. There were going to be something, how they were going to perform, and they did not disappoint. And I think people are excited, and they more than lived up to the expectation as well. Absolute barnstormer for the first opening. Everything you could have wanted and more.
Yeah, I mean, if Liverpool is heavy metal football, I don't know what to describe what Leeds. It's like heavy metal football mixed with cocaine, right? It's
a concerto. It's like Chopin chopping off ears, banging at the piano. It was beautiful. These things came out of nowhere. It was a beautiful palette.
Well, you know, we live in the age of Barcelona, or post-Barcelona, I guess, after the Champions League semifinal. We're in a post-Barcelona era of small little triangles, working it up the field. But in that game, Leeds was just bypassing the midfield and just pumping balls over the top in a way that it didn't feel like long balls. It felt like they were trying to hit Liverpool in the channels in a way that was really refreshing, really direct, really quick.
It was a paint-by-numbers attack in that those attacking patterns were so set and those moves were so thought out. It might not be Chopin and more like dubstep. It's like it's all conscripted, easy buttons, but when it comes together and that beat drops, oh my God, it was something special to see.
So you're saying that the attacking moves are the patented beat drop in every single song.
I think Bielsa is the new Skrillex. Is pretty much what we're saying. It was cunning, ingenious, inventive, but also pre-programmed. Someone tapping away at that laptop at the DJ booth, but producing all kinds of craziness and getting the crowd going.
So I don't know if Bielsa is into headwear like Skrillex, but they do have like a fashion, like they have their thing. Bielsa is always in a tracksuit at all times. Any picture you see with him, he's in the tracksuit at all times. I don't really think he's one of those people. I think Pep's a little bit, but I think Pep is like Bielsa light, like Bielsa with a little bit more pragmaticness to his life. Bielsa is just the embodiment of, I have no other interests besides football, and this is all I do. And why would I need another pair of clothes? I have my tracksuit. It can go to training. It can go to the interviews. It can go to the match. It's utilitarian.
Okay, if you're a manager, would you be a suit guy or a tracksuit guy?
I mean, this is really easy for me, and I have this a little bit later. Did I put it in there? No, I didn't put it in there. But I thought Scott Parker in the Fulham Everton game, in the Fulham Arsenal game, was just a snack, and he is. That was probably the best looking manager matchup that has ever graced the Premier League. Arteta in his sort of like casual windbreaker, Scott Parker in his formal suit. I would be a suit guy, but I think I would go in a Simeone brooding all black suit, like real.
You would.
Like, yeah. I mean, I love Simeone, right? So that's what I would do, but I don't think I would go tie though. I think I would go open collar.
I would go. I thought I'd go classic suit. It's a occasion you want to impress, but then I've been working from home for 8 months, and now sweatpants are life. And I can definitely see the advantage of just saying, "Screw it, I'm going to wear sweatpants and comfy clothes to work." That's every person's dream. They've hit it.
Well, do you think that Southgate restricts his movement on the sideline because he's worried about ripping his suit?
It can't be comfortable. That knee slide, the celebrations, you've got to be worried about tearing pants like those other managers.
Yeah, you've got to be worried about blowing it out in front of 50 million people, just like the backside of your pants.
You got to be warm. You can layer in sweatpants. They're nice and cozy. I think what you can't do as a manager is you just can't wear shorts. No matter how hot it is, there's no way you can wear shorts on the sideline.
The Owen Coyle. What's that oiled? Owen Coyle would wear shorts and cleats. Am I making that up? I can't remember. Yeah. Owen Coyle wasn't my thing. But back to Liverpool and Leeds. We had in fantasy, we had Mohamed Salah with the hat trick. But I have a bone to pick with this, and I have firm belief of this. Salah, a great player. The headline is he grabs 3 goals. I do not believe that penalty kicks should count to the golden boot. I think the golden boot should be non-penalty kicks, period.
What if Salah earns the penalty? Should he still be awarded it and it's a goal-scoring opportunity? Now, I get it if it's like Shearer and he's just good at banging them in Vardy, right? He didn't earn those penalties, but I always think it's not, I like the rule. I would change it. If you earn the penalty, you have to take it. I don't want this bullshit about bringing in your best kicker. You had the goal scoring opportunity. Now you've got to prove that you would have put it away. I think you shouldn't be able to change it.
Yeah, so I'm a man that's all about compromise in life. I am not. Contrary to popular belief, I can make a compromise. I will agree with you there. If you earn the penalty and then convert the penalty, it can go to your golden boot stat.
I agree with that. Yeah.
If you do not earn the penalty, that does not count. And this came up last year. I think it was Marcus Rashford, great player, right? I'm a Chelsea fan, so I like to, benchmark players and how they're doing. And I think Tammy Abraham had surprising 17 goals and throughout the season. And the popular narrative is, of course, that Marcus Rashford had a much better season than Tammy Abraham. But if you take away the penalty goals that Rashford had, considering before Fernandes came that he was the primary penalty taker for United, that the stats are much closer. I think that I think Ronaldo had something like double-digit penalties last year, something insane.
And I think I hate it when it's used to boost the player's stats. Agreed. But I also think that you've got to. I think we agree. If you earn the penalty, you get to take it. There's no swapping. There's no boosting stats.
Yeah, I mean, it can be recorded in the stat. I just think for the golden boot itself, the integrity of who scored the most goals, that a teammate earning a penalty should not count to that competition.
I think it makes it more artificial, but I do think if you win it and score that pen, then you should get that goal.
All right.
Agreed.
A couple more things rapid fire out of this game. We had another Virgil van Dijk wobble. I mean, another big error from Virgil van Dijk. I mean, we went from Virgil van Dijk can do no wrong, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Ledley King. Who are those guys? From the Premier League defenders we grew up with. Virgil van Dijk is now the best Premier League defender of the modern era. And, since restarting this, he's had a couple of mistakes, pretty visible mistakes.
Everyone's human. I will say, in that scenario, it'll be interesting to see if he does that again. I think that's an easy way to change. The ball came high. He had the option to knock it back to the keeper or knock it right to Robertson, and he chose to knock it right. Bamford stole it, put it in the goal. I think it's a little bit of complacency, and I do think you only make that mistake once in a season, and I don't think he'll be doing that again. I think also, I feel that if you've got your work cut out as Van Dijk. You're so isolated as a Liverpool defender in that game. There wasn't another player near him for 100 yards. You're pretty isolated being a Liverpool defender. You've got Alexander-Arnold's gone off the wing. Robertson's gone off the wing. Gomez, who God knows what he's doing these days. And then you're all on your own. You're basically the whole of the Liverpool defence, and you're getting told that you should just knock it back to the keeper. I think he knows. It'll be interesting to see if this is a pattern this season, or I think that's something that he'll learn from and probably not do again.
Yeah, it's just weird to see Superman trip twice so quickly, right? It, like, you know, there've been a lot of The Athletic has released, you know, best. I've seen a lot of, as the decade closed 2020, we saw a lot of, this is the Premier League team of the decade, and I saw a lot of Virgil van Dijk over, you know, some Vidic. I mean, there's some great Terry, Ferdinand, obviously, some players who did it for a very long time. And I know there's a recency bias with Virgil van Dijk. I think the recency bias has been very strong, that he is very good, but I need to see him do it for, you know, 8 years and just be a rock for 8 years, as opposed to, you know, 3 or 4 good years.
Yeah, I agree.
Years.
I think he is on track to be one of, if not the best defender in the Premiership of all time, and that's against a strong backing. But mistakes do happen. But we'll see. We'll see if this is something that is a regular occurrence this season. I wouldn't set him to Barcelona just yet. Let's say that.
Well, Barcelona can't pay for him. They're broke boys.
They're coming in for Salah. So.
So Koeman came out today, and they have an agreement with Memphis Depay, and they are like, yeah, we're going to buy Depay, but we basically have to sell people. So we're going to put him on layaway until we can afford Barcelona. How do you go from? It's not that hard. It's not that hard when you have Lionel Messi, but that's another thing. We're focused on the Premier League. Last thing I want to get to on this game, we'll wrap it up. I kind of want to, you know, maybe my anti-Liverpool bias is showing here in my line of questioning. I do think they're the best team in the league. I do admire them. For the brand of football they play, they sort of have revolutionized, kind of ended that tiki-taka style of play, which I'm a big fan of. That Gangnam press is great. I love it. Jurgen Klopp's great. I would love to have a beer with him and stuff like that. But the media, like, he can do no wrong. He's a little bit of a crybaby about these transfers and that Liverpool not getting any transfers. He was basically crying about Chelsea getting the transfers. I don't know if you've seen the stats about this, but like, if you compare Liverpool's starting lineup, you know, Alisson was the second most expensive goalkeeper ever. I think Virgil van Dijk cost about £70 million. Their midfield was bought full sell, except for Jordan Henderson was also bought. He was just a while ago. Gigi Wijnaldum, very expensive. Mo Salah, very expensive. It seems like that that Klopp is saying that Chelsea is somewhat cheating by spending in the transfer market. It rings a little hollow considering what they have spent in the transfer market.
I think, especially as you're just playing Leeds as well, who the net spend is negative. But I agree. But he's always he's like Mourinho. He'll always whine, find an excuse, set the narrative, etc., make them the underdogs, put in excuses early as well. I do think it's worrying that Liverpool haven't bought. They do talk about how hard it is to come back every season and gain that like momentum and that hunger as well every single season. Ferguson used to rebuy, get rid of your best players, and they haven't done that. And now I wouldn't say there's anyone aging out of that team, but you might question their hunger or their appetite to do it again in the Premiership. They did look hard at the end of last season when they knew they had won it, and the standard definitely slipped. My biggest concern with Liverpool, and this has been definitely for the last 3 seasons, is it just takes one injury to any of that front three, and there's no depth to that squad, especially the strikers and the quality. The next best is such a drop off from their first 11. It really is concerning. They were lucky last season; they didn't have any big long term injuries. But can you imagine Salah going out for a month, or Mane going out for 3 months? If they had the injuries that Spurs had last season to Son, to Kane, they would be screwed. I'm sure he is asking for money to refresh that squad. Now, maybe they haven't got the players out there to buy, but they need to take a lesson from Barcelona that having a stupendous first 11 doesn't last forever, and you've got to think about what that next generation is and buy wisely and blood them in.
Well, I'll do one better. Liverpool got very lucky. Think about it, the Africa Cup of Nations was still going on in December, January, where you'd have Salah and Mane. I guess maybe then they would have had to buy Timo Werner in that situation. But God, if the Africa Cup of Nations would have come in, they would be done. Now, saying that, as a Chelsea fan, I have cast dispersions upon the best manager and the best defender in the league, saying that Chelsea play Liverpool this weekend, and it's squeaky bum time for me. They are probably going to slaughter us, but we'll get to that later. Kind of want to get some thoughts from around the league. Speaking of managers, Tottenham v Everton, as a disciple of Mourinho, as someone who was sort of his football was born into a Mourinho world, born on the teat of Mourinho, born on the teat of that siege mentality Mourinho, when he is just putting his thumb in the face of the establishment. It's tough to see him like this. It's like divorced dad tough to see him like this. I gotta ask, is Mourinho gonna make it out of the season?
This is from someone who watched All or Nothing, the Spurs story. I watched all 3 episodes every single Monday they came out and was just transfixed by the charisma of Mourinho. Someone we had at our club as well that I didn't do a great job, didn't set the world on fire.
Hold on. Before we go into your diatribes of Mourinho, let's be honest why you watched All or Nothing. There is a secondary reason why you watched it.
Oh, yeah. My boyfriend was narrating. That is pretty much the number one reason.
I mean,
he didn't get enough screen time, in my opinion. Well, look, they had injury crisis. I'm just saying he could have done a job up front. That's all I'm saying. He could have put him in that 10 role. He would have been fine. There's nothing that man can't do.
Yeah, get him jacked up like Bane, and he could be like that. What is that, like, League One striker that is just built like a brick shit house?
He'd be like Traore. He'd be quick. He'd be built.
Anyways, sorry. I just wanted to start off this journey that we're doing in this audio format, visual format, with honesty. And I can't let the viewers, listeners, the hundreds upon millions of them, lie to them and not say the real reason why we're watching the documentary. Okay, back to Mourinho.
Yeah, he's in serious trouble. I saw today there's a huge rumor that they're trying to bring Bale to Spurs, and that might actually happen on breaking news. I think I'd love to see him play some football. I'd love to see his heart in it. I'd love to see him tearing up and down the wing. They need that depth behind Harry Kane. It seems like the perfect signing. They look so abject against Everton. I do love to see them again. And this was more of a story about how great Everton did. They looked so good. I think we were texting about how they looked like the new Barcelona, little triangles, their new signing set bedded in so quickly as well. I think this is more a story of Everton being surprisingly great, finding their feet so quickly, rather than Tottenham not being great. They weren't great, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But there's definitely 2 teams to understand what they look like in the long term.
Yeah, I'm just going to remember that you compared a team that has Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front as the new Barcelona.
Oh, how does he keep scoring goals? I don't know. A team with Theo Walcott still in it. How is that team the new Barcelona?
All right.
Maybe the Barcelona now.
We're going to move on, but I have to put my hand up and say I was going to say the same thing for Bale, and I always say this. I think sports is a lot about motivation, and I don't really like the policy of signing veterans who are coming down in prestige to big contracts. Not a huge fan of that. James Rodriguez, I will eat my words after one game. He looks great. Looked great. He did miss a sitter on a peel back ball. Should have buried it, but great passes. I'm happy to see James. I was really sad when he went out of the World Cup, but he's basically been dead since then. Okay, Arsenal v Fulham. I got to say this. Football is a very visual medium. It is bright colors, reds and blues mostly. And it was very weird to see Willian in an Arsenal jersey in a blue kit. It kind of just, really messed with my mind. Say this. I do not think the Willian signing is going to be good long term. 3 years for he's like 31, I believe. But I do think he's a great squad player. If you don't rely on him for goals, I think he will do all the dirty work. I think he's a good signing. I just think they overpaid for him. How do you feel about Willian?
How do you overpay for free?
Well, they signed him for 3 years.
Well, right, that's what overpaying. What you mean on a contract? He's going to do a job for 3 years.
Oh, that third year he is going to. That third year he is going to be. What is the appropriate analogy? Like Steven Gerrard of the LA Galaxy. He's just going to be. He's just. I can't run anymore. I'm done.
I know you probably hate Will. You weren't a big fan when he was at Chelsea. I thought he was one of the best players of Chelsea. I was surprised they let him go. And I do think it is a great signing for Arsenal for 3 reasons. One, they don't have any transfer fees. So bringing a player of that quality in is a great piece of business. 2 is that he brings something to Arsenal that they don't have. He's that explosive, creative force. He created 2 at the weekend. Great job, fitted into that team really well.
All right. You're saying 2. That's a Willian assist. He got a shot.
That shot and the rebound.
And then somehow gets an assist. Willian accumulates stats in very weird ways. I'll let you go on.
You miss 100% of the assists you don't shoot. How about that? And
Wayne
thirdly,
Gretzky, Michael Scott.
I think it's great. You need experience in that squad, and there's jobs. So Matic at United now, he's not going to play every game. He's going to play 1 every 6. His legs are gone. But if you have a professional, a leader, someone with experience to mentor and show professionalism to those young teams, you don't have to play in your 3rd year. You just have to be there in the club, setting the example, working hard, and putting your arm around the youngsters and driving that team. I think that's a role too. So what a canny signing. Glad he's still in the Premiership. I still think he's got a lot to offer, and I can see him being a big part of Arsenal season.
All right, we'll see what happens. I am.
I can't wait for him to do well, just to turn the knife every time he assists and show you what you could have had.
So the Willian experience is just. He's a 6 and 7 out of 10 always, and it's never better than that. And it's never.
No, he's an 8 out of 10. He's a beautiful boy. He sells shirts and he assists. He's a dream. He's an 8 out of 10 every game.
But this isn't. If you were to read Chelsea Twitter does would agree with me. Willian is what he is. He's a very good squad player. He's a very good rotational player on a team that is a very good team. But when you put him into a starring role, if you expect him to drive the goals, like Chelsea needed goals last season. They needed goals from the wings. He needed to step up. And he did a little bit with some free kicks and some penalties. But they have Aubameyang. That's not what they need Willian for. They have Lacazette. They have goals. Now, someone to do the hard work and do the runs and never stop running. He scored a goal at Arsenal last season. So Chelsea played at the Emirates. Chelsea ended up winning 2-1. Arsenal should have won that game. But basically, they're in the 80th something minute, maybe 90th minute, Willian makes a box to box run and just outruns everyone from Arsenal. He has unlimited. His energy does not dip during the match. But again, I think Chelsea fans were sold the next Eden Hazard when we got Willian or someone like that. He is not a player like that. He is a Swiss Army knife that doesn't stop running, right?
What a great player to have.
Yeah, but those players don't age very well.
He creates. Anyway, we could have this Willian debate. I think time will tell. You know what? The proof will be in the pudding over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Let's see what he brings for the Arsenal team.
All right. We're gonna skip Leicester West Brom because, I just think people are sleeping on Leicester. They were terrible post January, but I like their team. They're what you said about Liverpool about depth is the most true about Leicester. Of any of the top teams, I think they have great midfielder in Madison, Vardy, incredible. Their Ricardo Pereira, the right back, is great, but they don't have any depth. Like when Harvey Barnes you're relying on Barnes to score goals.
Yeah.
That guy is a nothing. Every time I watch him, it's just a nothing. Harvey Barnes is one of those players. I'll go back to it. Going back to previous game, have you ever seen Richarlison do anything? It's like, I don't know what Richarlison's good at.
He's good at fanciness. He's good at style and flair and flash. He's flash. That's what he's good at. He's good at a highlight reel. That's what you need. You need a YouTube highlight reel of like a minute, and he will flash. He will get 1 million views on that YouTube reel.
He is, if you do a Dragon Ball Z fusion dance between Richarlison, who's nothing but flash, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's nothing but like scrap. And
no one's watching. No one's typing Dominic Calvert-Lewin into YouTube, whereas everyone is. And also, I said this before, Richarlison is so good on FIFA. He's like one of the top players. Yeah. Those FIFA guys know something. He's going to be great, and he's going to come good under Ancelotti.
Well, same Leicester West Brom. I think Leicester, people are discounting them. They're going to make a run at the top 6. They have a team. I like Brendan Rodgers. I think no manager. He had a pretty rough time. People made a lot of fun of him at Liverpool, and he seems very egotistical. But I do think he's grown up. He's learned a little bit. If I were Tottenham when they fire Mourinho, I would look at Brendan Rodgers. I would make a run at him.
There's a definite argument that he deserves another chance as well. I think not having European football is really going to help Leicester out this season. They don't have the squad for that. I think the worry of, I don't think Vardy's going to slow down this season. I think he's going to have another Golden Boot challenge season. And I think that you're right. They've got players like Maddison back, who's key to that squad, who they just tied into a long-term contract. I think it's going to be class. But yeah, I definitely can see them challenging for that top 4 place again.
So I almost texted you this weekend in our group chat. James Maddison gives me a lot of Hot Priest vibes. They have a striking visual similarity. Hot Priest vibes. It wasn't 100%. I would say 80% similarity. But I watched him. He came on this weekend at the end. Also, James Maddison. So, do you think that his family purposely misspelled his name with an extra D for the search engine optimization? Because anytime I typed in James Maddison like a normal person to look at him when I was trying to see the Hot Priest comparison, it's nothing but the American president, James Madison, which was like our 4th or 5th president, I forget. But do you think his parents had the foresight to think, we're purposely going to screw up this name so the search engine optimization is on point for our future Premier League footballer?
His agent added it as part of his contract negotiation. I will say, if you were making a World War II RAF bomber unit, you'd have Madison, you'd have the coach from what's his name? The coach from
it's Scott Parker. It's Scott Parker.
Scott Parker would lead that. He would lead that squadron, but then you would have Madison, and then you'd also have Harry Winks in that squadron, and that'd be the best looking RAF squadron you've ever seen.
So we brought up Scott Parker twice on this podcast. I just want to tell you a rabbit hole I went down this weekend. So I don't know if you remember, and I think this is the best evidence that white privilege exists in the world. In 2011, Scott Parker was the Football Writers Association Player of the Year. Can you imagine at what time, like when we look back at history, we look at the Players of the Year and we look at, the Ronaldos, the Eden Hazards, the Liverpool's defender, Virgil van Dijk's of the world, and you're going to bounce little future Benfield on your knee and say, "Oh man, in 2010 there was not a better footballer in the Premier League than Scott Parker."
No, I remember that season, and he came out of nowhere, and he was in a team of workhorses, and he worked his little cotton socks off. What he lacked in talent, charisma, and style, he made for like running, commitment. What you don't understand is he was white privilege, probably named. He does everything that England love: stiff upper lip, work hard, keep your head down, be humble, and show commitment. And I think that was in a year that was lacking. There wasn't a great standout, but he worked.
I'll get to that. So in 2011, so I laugh about the white privilege thing, like Scott Parker bouncing your knee and telling your kids about how great Scott Parker was for West Ham. In 2011, the fans' player of the year played at Liverpool? I will give you 100 guesses, and you will never guess who it was. 100.
Or Heskey, or someone terrible like that, or
no, Raul Morales was the fans' player of the year. The Golden Boot for 2010-11 was split between two players who played for Manchester teams. One of them from your club.
RVP.
No, it was Dimitar Berbatov and Carlos Tevez.
They must have scored 16 goals each that season.
I know. Berbatov, who is considered a flop at
United. Firstly, they both played for our club, first of all.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but this was Tevez, when they pasted the billboard in town.
Oh, for City. Okay.
Yeah, for City. And then, we're in an era where Liverpool is like losing the league on 99 points or 100 points or whatever they lost the league. United won the league with 80 points. I think Chelsea came in second with the low 70s.
It wasn't a hot season. We can all agree on that. There's definitely forgettable names in that group.
Oh yeah. The PFA Team of the Year too. I don't want to bore you with that, but it's a doozy. It's a doozy. 2010, 2011, weird year.
We can't all have bangers. Sometimes you've got to just put out an album because the fans expect.
So the 2010-2011 season is the sophomore album of seasons. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
It is. All right. Okay. So rounding out the week, on Monday. So we had Monday Night Football. Chelsea.
Don't do that.
Well, they're really pushing this thing in England. Chelsea Liverpool's Monday Night Football this week, right? Like my wife even said to me, because like the game's on at 3:00. She's like, they're playing soccer right now in England. I was like, it's Monday Night Football.
It'd be better if it was like coronavirus football.
Mondays.
Football. Squeeze it in football.
So
get it while you can. Football.
Speaking of people that are trying to get the football in while they can get it, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Is there a sadder story? It's
what have you done to him? What have you done to our beautiful boy? How's someone so highly rated so broken? I saw his interview after the game and he was blinking, help me, in Morse code into the camera just to get there. It's cruel that you're torturing him by making him go in goal. Please.
It's bad when people in Twitter just post out, here are the last shots Kepa's faced, and it's just goal, X, goal, X. Nobody in the Premier League, not any West Ham bottom feeder, Newcastle bottom, like some of those mid-table teams who have been around since Kepa has come to the league. no goalkeeper has allowed in more goals from outside the 18 than Kepa Arrizabalaga. The goal this week wasn't his worst, but that's not a high bar.
But it was bad. It wasn't his worst, but it was still bad.
When the ball went off his foot from outside the box, like that's a wet noodle shot, and then it somehow went in.
I honestly thought the benefit of like a off season to get his mind back, come out. You've got the manager believing in you. Go back in sticks, like really prove it. You can do it. And he comes out, and it's still the same keeper that comes out and flaps the crosses, gets shouted at by his defence, and it is a sad state in football. And I don't know what's happened, and we've gone through this with United and. At least with United, the hair, we have the nostalgia. You don't even have the nostalgia with Kepa. He's just come in and it hurts. There's so much money spent, but oh my goodness, let that poor boy go.
It really went downhill in the I can't remember if it was the Carling Cup or whatever they're calling it now, or the FA Cup semifinals. Like, I think it was the whatever the Carling Cup's called now, when he basically refused to go off the pitch for Mauricio Sarri because Sarri wanted to put in Caballero for penalties. It's pretty much, I think he created his own voodoo after that. I think that's pretty much what happened.
Now, the whitewash story was that he said he was injured, then it was actually, I'm okay to carry on, I'm not coming off. But he was just like, screw it, I want to stay in, I'm not coming off. Is that what you're saying? Well, in that case, screw it. I'm glad he's failing. I hope he's embarrassed. I think this is karma coming back to get you.
Yeah, you can't, obviously I'm going to support Chelsea players, but that was a tough one to support afterwards. I am no fan of Mauricio Sarri. I do think that he got a bad rap at Chelsea, but I'm not a fan of him. But you can't treat your manager like that. So I'm saying Kepa deserves all the pain for what he did to Mauricio Sarri on that pitch that day. No, you know what? What's funny about the Kepa saga is, when a woman is in a relationship, and this is probably what is going to happen to my wife 10 years down the road. Her husband gets a little fat, stops taking care of himself.
Well, when you're 10 years, this is COVID. It's just happened.
5
Stop
months.
showering, gets fat, lets himself go.
Just grow a beard.
Starts the football podcast in the basement. Yeah.
Exactly.
All those weird things.
So my point is, it's like, once she escapes this toxic relationship, she's going to go out and get the complete opposite. She's going to get someone that's buckled down, that is slim, no beard, baby face, just the complete opposite. And it's going to hurt me when that happens, when I have to look at like who she's moved on, the anti-doppelganger of me. Now, I'm going to bring this back to Kepa. Have you seen the goalkeeper that Chelsea's trying to sign? His name is Eduardo Mendy, and he is a giant. He is like 6'7". He is the complete, absolute opposite of Kepa. So they're like, hey, Kepa, you're great. You're going to stay around. We're just going to bring this guy to compete with you who looks absolutely the complete opposite of you in the physicality. He is a monster. It's a weird spelling of Eduardo. I think there's a U at some point. It's like EDOU.
Yeah. They're not going to be friends, are they? Also, I will say what Kepa lacks in height, he makes up for in neck. That boy has a long old neck, but not long arms, unfortunately.
Well, maybe, he could, those turtles have long necks, but unfortunately for Kepa, he can't descend into a shell when he can't turtle it when he lets in another soft goal. But yeah, I'm ready for the Kepa. I'm ready for the Kepa saga, experiment, all of that stuff to be done. Just eat that cost.
It is. So let's say your wife brings home a new person. Who's that new person? Is it Scott Parker? Clean cut, trustworthy, polite, low key.
I think no, because my wife would probably go for Scott Parker, because my wife I'm trying to think. It wouldn't be a complete opposite from a physicality standpoint. It'd probably be someone just like The Rock. She would bring home some like clean shaven but completely masculine alpha, right? Like she doesn't like a slender boy, so it would be someone that would just physically alpha me and intimidate me and make me be the beta boy that I am. So she would just upgrade. Yeah, she wouldn't go
for
for
me.
a
I
beta
was
boy.
thinking a Dave Bautista. I thought he'd be my. That's who she'd bring home. Just like there's nothing I can do against that.
You mean
Nice
you don't have you don't have mermaid tattoos on your back and belly button? If you lost your wife to someone with a mermaid tattoo on your back and a belly button tattoo, while I'd want Lee to be happy and I would support her, I might give you a little shit about that. I might give you
I'd tell Dave and he'd want to have a conversation, I'm sure.
All right. So we've kind of gotten through most of the games. I mean, I'll bring up Sheffield United and Wolves. That was very nice too. They ended the game after 6 minutes. It was a true blitzkrieg. 2-0 after 6 minutes. I love Sheffield United. They're the plucky underdog. I hope they can keep it going, but I don't really think there's much to say about this match. It was over pretty quickly.
Yeah, good for Wolves. Look at them go. Let's see if they can make it a season-long thing and win in Europe.
Yes. So, Ben, we've talked about a lot of matches. I want to put it to you. Who's the biggest winner of Premier League football week 1?
You know, I think it is Ancelotti's the biggest winner. He's won. He's fought smart. He's put that team together, and he's won. He's shown that he can take these. Everyone was doubting, these burnt-out stars aren't going to play well. He brought them together. They played well. They went on to win. I think he's the star of this week. Although there are a few shining stars, but for me, he's my top shining star.
I will say this though: if you went in Back to the Future, let's say 10 years ago, and you went to somehow Marino and Ancelotti are having wine somewhere, and you came back and said, "Hey guys, 10 years from now, Ancelotti, you're going to be coaching at Everton, and Mourinho, you're going to be coaching at Tottenham." Do you think they would have thrown the wine at you, spit the wine at you, laughed at you?
Well, then Everton. I think Ancelotti's about to flip the table, and you're like, "But you're starting Rodrigo James," and he'd be like, "Oh, okay. Everton must be the new Real Madrid in the future." And you're like, mm-hmm. And then you back away slowly. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't think that Ancelotti's career path, when he was dominating with AC Milan in the Champions League, he thought he would be ending up at the lesser club in Liverpool. He's going to do a great job. I'm just saying it's all about expectation management in life, right?
Yeah, I think it will be very, very interesting to see if they keep it going and how those players play. But yeah, they've got the makings of something special, I think, or at least night and day from where they've been as well.
Ancelotti is your winner for week 1. I'm going to also go with the manager. My winner for week 1 is Bielsa. I mean, it is Bielsa.
The game. How are you picking someone that can't even win? He's your winner.
Because football is about narrative. It is about, and Leeds went toe-to-toe with the best Premier League side and put the bejesus out of them. But
they did themselves. You know what? They did as good a job as they could for a team that lost.
If you have to sell people on the narrative that is Leeds, that is Bielsa, at the Church of Bielsa, there is, they're not going to win the Premier League. They're not going to finish for a European place. But they're going to punch way above their weight for a newly promoted side, given the investment that they put into that team. The crazy thing about Bielsa, now they've signed some people like Rodrigo, and I think they're in for some other people. But when Bielsa got to Leeds, he didn't put massive investment into that side. He took players that were there and turned them into killers. And, if you watch the Amazon documentary, I was very excited for Bielsa. I knew about him from Atletico Bilbao. I knew about him from Marseille. I knew about the Chilean national team. They played that Chilean national team had that great World Cup. So I was aware of him. But I don't think everyone who watches the Premier League was aware of this cult of Bielsa. And that being your first showing to the world, it's pretty incredible. Now, to your point, they didn't win, right? But there is I do subscribe to there is some beauty in defeat sometimes. Sometimes. Now that's a loser mentality. I get it. I'm a Chelsea ruthless aggression. Like all it's about is 3 points. That's when Mourinho raised me on his teat. That's what he taught me. Style is for losers, points are for winners. But I'm gonna go with Bielsa for my winner. So
your winner of the week is someone who lost. So your loser of the week is going to be the team that won. Is that the week we have here?
My loser for the week is going to be an institution. So who is you? Before we get to that, I will go to you. We'll do this ping and pong. And who is your loser of the week?
Mine is going to be the very sad ex-Everton manager, ex-United manager, the current manager of West Ham. David Moyes is just he's a broken man. He looks like an alcoholic uncle, and just on the edge of a melt. I can't watch it. It's almost depressing to watch West Ham, and that he's the perfect manager for West Ham right now. A bunch of sad players misfiring, managed by angry alcoholic uncle. Like, it's just, I love West Ham. They're probably my second team in the Premiership. Back to the days of Di Canio, the exciting football that they play, the West Ham way. It's
the glorious 2010-2011 Scott season that you're going to be telling your grandchildren about.
There you go. And they're a baffling team, but he's a loser for me. He just looks. We're counting the days that he gets fired.
I can't disagree with you. I think that he might. The Japanese when they do that ritual suicide. I forget what it's called.
Harry Carey.
When they sell Declan Rice to Chelsea, I think he just might go out to the middle of the pitch and put a sword through his stomach.
He will go out there, grab Declan Rice, rip him in half, and then drag 2 pieces to Chelsea and just drop him on the ground and say, "There's your player. Enjoy."
It's really sad. It's gonna be really sad when they sell him to Chelsea because it's just a league for billionaires, not millionaires, and West Ham owners are millionaires.
And they're a terrible. It's a sad state. The whole thing's toxic.
It is. Somewhere Elijah Wood is crying into his Cheerios as he watches West Ham lose. That's a Green Street Hooligans reference for all you people that don't know.
One of the best films.
There's a line in that movie where Elijah Wood is talking about. I think he's talking about like baseball, and baseball is cool. And like he's trying to reference it to soccer. And at a certain point, he says, the Red Sox have a pitcher who can throw a baseball 90 miles an hour, which is like every major league pitcher can throw the baseball 90 miles an hour. It's like
it's a British film for Brits, so no one cares about baseball. So if we hear that, we're like, all right, that sounds fast. We don't know that's the norm. We don't care either. And I love Charlie Hammond's response. He shows about as much care as any other Brit in the world would say. Great. No one gives a fuck. It means he can wank fast.
Well, as an American, it hurt my heart. My loser of the week.
Wait a second. If you've seen that film, you think the one factually wrong thing in that film is the comment about baseball. I think your priorities are messed up. If you think that's the thing we're going to pull them up on, of being a little bit off kilter, that is probably not the hill I'd die on.
I think it's the actual representation of modern fan culture. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a documentary.
Yeah. The accent, you're right. It's pretty much a documentary apart from that.
That's what, when I was watching that movie in about 2008, 2009, as I was starting my soccer journey, that was a primary text for me about life in England.
If I have someone over, a guy, and I want to put a film on he's never seen, that is my go-to film. Every guy I've ever shown has absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing about males that we're not great at expressing. What that movie really gets to, it's just brotherhood bonds. We all
it's the best. The number of salvations where one guy's about to get absolutely pummeled and he's saved by another guy. It's just that's what you want in a film. You want redemption and salvation.
You know what that is? That is the the saving moment. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the American classic, The Outsiders, but when what is his name? Oh God. Anyways, now I'm blowing the reference, but when he comes to the fight to not Daryl. Anyways, I'm blowing this. This is bad pod. But when they make the triumphant save in a fight, that is always a great when your boy comes out of nowhere to help you is always just men.
It's like when Han Solo comes back to save Luke from the Death Star when he's about to be blown out. It's that curve, and it does it a few times really well in that movie.
When Steve Austin comes out to help mankind win the WWF title over The Rock. I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
There you go.
My loser of the week is the Nations League because for a tournament that I was like, oh yeah, better competition, making international breaks. I sat and watched the Nations League and watched England just not care about it, and the intensity difference between the Nations League and the Premier League. I have never hated a competition more than I hated the nation. Bring back England playing the Faroe Islands and friendlies because that Nations League was awful, just awful. I want. It was a great idea. In actuality, it's terrible. No one cares about it. Let's just remove the farce.
Let's not blame England for making. I think some of those other games were decent. England just terrible. Absolutely terrible.
We had a World Cup final rematch. Croatia lost again 2-0 to France. I don't mean 4-2 to France. They must just hate. They just must hate Hugo Lloris. He's such a hateable figure. Okay, my loser of the week is the Nations League because Premier League football is just so much better than the Nations League. I hate it. All right, so looking forward to next week. The top 3 games as we go in on Saturday. Your boys, Manchester United, playing Crystal Palace. How are you feeling?
I think we should beat Crystal Palace, but then Crystal Palace are already coming off a win. I think our players are fresh. I think we've got a lot of people back from injury. I think let's just say if we don't win this, our season's already screwed. Just because if that's the level of team we can't beat, and I could see us easily not being able to beat them, we're in serious, serious trouble. So I expect a comfortable win from United this coming week.
You forget about Michy Batshuayi, the Batsman at Crystal Palace.
Those are hard. They've got a lot of danger men. They are a lot of danger men, but we will see.
Do not call Michy Batshuayi a danger man. He's not. He's great on Twitter, not great on the pitch. Sunday, my boys, Chelsea v Liverpool. I am wearing a German national team shirt because we are all about Germany at Chelsea. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Christian Pulisic did a stop in Germany. Let me just say this in the Chelsea-Brighton game. I know we talked about Kepa. I was not enthusiastic. I think Ruben lost his cheek. While I am sad for what happened to him, it's just not coming back. He missed a pass to Timo Werner that I could have probably played and would have played in Timo Werner for a goal. Ruben lost his cheek. He might need a loan somewhere, maybe to Crystal Palace. I don't know. He played there for a while, but it's a sad story, but he does not need to see the pitch in a Chelsea uniform for a while. Without Ben Chilwell, heck, they might rush Thiago Silva into the match with no practice. He might be in the back line with no practice. With no Ben Chilwell, with maybe no Pulisic, with no Hakeem Ziyech. I think it's Ziyech, not Ziyech. Ziyech. I'm struggling because Liverpool are a team. They are a fully functioning team. Chelsea is a bunch of individuals who haven't had a lot of time getting in. I am not hopeful about this, but we'll see what happens. I think Liverpool wins. Maybe 2 goals. We're not very good at keeping goals out of the net.
It looks like it'll be a high-scoring game. A little bit looks like it'll be an energetic game. I think it's my game of the weekend, and I can't wait to see it. I do think Liverpool, you're right, they have the system and experience that they're going to win. But then it's Chelsea a bit of an unknown right now. Let's see how it goes.
I will say this: no love lost between Frank Lampard and Jurgen Klopp or the Liverpool staff. I don't know if you remember in the restart, Frank got a little annoyed at the Liverpool side for over celebrating. They did a fireworks show during the Chelsea Liverpool match. Anyways, I don't dislike Liverpool. I did used to dislike Liverpool after the Rafa Benitez, but and if I could have any manager, I want the Chelsea-Liverpool rivalry to mean something like it meant kind of Mourinho, Rafa Benitez eras where that was an absolute blood feud. But it hasn't been like that for a while, so hopefully Chelsea can hold up their end of the bargain and make this match close. I am not hopeful, but we'll see later in the season when the teams get the chance to gel. And then finally,
it's a big game.
Yeah, big game. Chelsea Liverpool, you say is the match of the weekend. I will say my match of the weekend is Monday Night Football. Wolves will take on Mondays.
COVID fixture congestion football.
Man City will travel to Wolves. Man City coming off that loss to Lyon emotionally, it hasn't been that long ago. We talked about there was an offseason. There really wasn't that much of an offseason. I don't really know Pep side, Nathan Ake coming in. I don't think he's going to start. That back line's terrible. Man City can either win this game 4-0 or they're going to lose this game 3-1 with two calamitous goals and counterattack goals with Adama Traore and Jimenez looking to make them look stupid. That's the crazy thing about watching City. Because their back line is so terrible and Pep is so unrelenting in his philosophy, it could go either way. It's not going to be a 1-0 Man City win. It's going to either be lopsided in one direction or the other.
I think Wolves are fresh. I think they've got a set squad. I do think they'll miss Doherty, but I believe I think Wolves will get the result here. I think what the big miss of last weekend was not having Manchester United and Man City in that opening week. I'm glad we're seeing them this week, but I do think it's going to be an interesting game. Hopefully high scoring. I think a fresh Wolves is the most dangerous Wolves. I'm glad they're playing now. They've got the best chance to win. I still think Chelsea-Liverpool will be the better spectacle, but I think Wolves will get something over City.
Well, I'm just really into the arm butter that they put on Adama Traore. I think they're just trying to, really go for like The Rock in the Fast and the Furious and just cake on that arm butter.
Have you seen Charles Bronson again with Tom Hardy in the prison scene? Have you seen the movie Bronson with Tom Hardy?
I am aware of it. I have never seen it.
There's a bit where he is about to have a fight with all these prison guards, and he's already caught one, held them hostage. He strips completely naked, and he basically gives the prison guard a tub of lard and makes him rub it all over him. And the guards are like smashing the door and trying to get in, and he's being very Tom Hardy, going, quicker, rub it on, come on, quickly, now fuck off. He's amazing. And then he because the guards can't grab him or wrestling him, just beats them all up. It's fantastic. And I think that should be I imagine that's what he's doing in the dressing room. And I wonder who it is who's rubbing that stuff all over him.
Ben.
To see Jimenez crying and rubbing him. I'm sorry, so quick as I can. Go on YouTube that Bronson piece. It's amazing.
Knowing what we know about you and what you've admitted about the All or Nothing and the Tom Hardy, what type of pleasure you've gotten out of that? I don't think it was pure comedic.
I'm not about it. Don't worry about it.
I'll leave it to the listener's imagination. We're like a PG-13 podcast. We're not a rated R podcast.
You should go on YouTube it. It's a classic clip. Well worth.
I will find it on the YouTube. Ben, we've been chopping it up for a bit. We've covered Premier League match day 1. We've previewed Premier League match day 2. I think it's over.
All right.
I think we've done it.
And then coming in exactly an hour. This is great timing. We said half an hour. It's an hour, but this is perfect.
I think so. And I'm working. With these podcasts, it's all about branding. It's all about creating familiarity, trying something out. I started the podcast with "So It Begins," and I will end the podcast with "And So It Ends." Thanks everyone for listening.
See you later.
Later.
Bye.